What is up, W Sports Podcast? That is right. Today is our MLB news and notes update. As we head into the final stages of the offseason, we thought what better time than right now to talk to you guys about some baseball news and updates. And we got some topics we're going to cover. So, just some updates on the free agency signings that are happening to happen right now. Yeah, if that makes sense, happening to happen. And then just some opinions. We got to get Tubby's opinion. He's always spitting facts. We got to get what he thinks of his Dodgers and the other teams that are just trying to be the Dodgers right now. So, Tubby, welcome
Yeah.
back to the show.
I'm so excited today. Right before we got on, we got some. Dodgers
Breaking
fans got
news.
some great news. So, yeah,
Yeah. So, speaking of which, they signed the highest coveted free agent out of Japan, or correct?
yeah,
Yeah, okay. Sasaki, and I told the Padres he said no in the final stages, and we all know this now that the Toronto Blue Jays are the AL's version of the San Francisco Giants, where they want to sign everybody,
yeah,
and they're not going to sign a single one.
no,
So here we are, Dodgers getting richer.
yeah. And the great thing for the Dodgers too, that it's an international signing too. It's
Yeah,
not
you
like a
just use the
normal free
bonus.
agency
Hmm.
signing because he's not 25 yet, so he wasn't eligible for it. So they have him for 6 years on
It's
a
yeah.
$7 million contract.
So that on top of, oh, man, I just forgot who they got last year. The pitcher that played game two to start the year,
Yamamoto.
Yamamoto. Those two guys' contracts are going to really balance out if they can work out
Yeah.
and be an absolute steal for 6 years for this franchise. Oh gosh, it's so stupid. Uh,
Oh man, the potential. It's just potential. If everyone can stay healthy, the potential of that rotation, boy.
boy, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a team that, if you look at it, I can't see outside of sweeping injuries through
Hmm.
more than one player that this team should not. 95 wins should be a no-brainer. I think 100 wins should be would definitely achievable. And I think
Hmm.
you get to that 105, 110 range, you're like, I mean, that is insane. And I think
Yeah.
this is a team that has the potential, health-wise, to
Yeah.
reach that limit right there. Now, then you get to the postseason, and then it's about who's the hottest team at the moment. Do you want the bye? Do you not? So a lot
Hmm.
of those moving pieces, but a regular season team coming off of already having a World Series with the best player in all of baseball, Shohei Ohtani, who's also, I don't know if you people remember this, the dude can still pitch. So
Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't even know why we
Yeah.
play baseball anymore.
Yeah. Everyone else might as well just throw in the season, just give the Dodgers back-to-back World Series real quick.
Yeah. So we had. So let me ask you this,
Uh-huh.
topic wise. People are saying this is bad for baseball. The Dodgers are going to win. Like blah 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 blah. Like that is the topic around baseball.
Hmm.
Writers, even some fans that are not Dodgers fans. Let me ask you this: have we had this literal scenario recently with another team?
Yeah, about 30 years ago, or not even quite 30 years ago, 20 years ago.
You said
We have,
25 years ago. You said the Yankees. I'm
yeah,
assuming.
yeah. New York Yankees did the same
Okay.
thing.
Here, I would also argue one other thing. There was another team that made a lot of early aggressive-ish moves within their
Hmm.
own franchise to lock up a bunch of people, homegrown talent, very quick. And everybody said this team is going to compete year after year after year, and they
Hmm.
haven't been back to the World Series since. And I'm talking about the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah.
So I did very different market than the
Hmm.
Yankees or even the Dodgers, but I
Yeah.
do. I mean, people think that this is the first time we've ever had this issue, and I don't necessarily think it's an issue. It's just a competitive team with a lot of money doing that.
Yeah. I mean, the Mets did it a couple of years ago. Did it work out for them? No.
No, no, culture,
But
man.
I mean, it's not. People act like this is the first time ever in baseball where a team's buying a bunch of players. We've seen it in the past. I mean, even the Red Sox. I mean, they went out and got when they were really good in the early 2000s. Went out and signed Johnny Damon. Brought in Big Poppy. You had Pedro Martinez. You had Kurt Schilling.
Sure.
You
Yep.
had
I
all
was
these guys
waiting for
that
that one.
were that you signed in free agency or traded for. So it's the same thing. We've seen it before. It's not a new trend. The
Hmm.
Dodgers just, I mean, are maybe spending a little bit more than we've ever seen.
Just yeah, and you know what the inflation? That's probably why, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, last week on one of our episodes, we talked about how Peyton Manning signed the biggest contract in sports history. And it was like a 7-year, $84 million deal, and you're like, oh my gosh. That guy got
Yeah.
ripped off.
I know. Yeah,
Ugh.
that was like in the early 2000s, and back then they're like, yeah.
Whoa, locked him up. I mean, it was pretty steep, but we'll take it. Yeah. So I would say like baseball regular season. I think the Dodgers should hands down, like I said, compete for close to 110 wins
Hmm.
if they stay healthy. That's a big piece of it. But baseball, it's a long season sport, and you got to get to the postseason, and then it's who is
Yeah.
the hottest team. And that's why I do think that what the Dodgers are doing right now is they're setting themselves up to have really good pitching depth because if they're going against the Phillies and the ace
Hmm.
the pitching staff that they have or a healthy Braves pitching staff or this Corbin Burns led Diamondback staff, like things like
Hmm.
this, they have to have an ace. And we
Yeah.
talked about this last year. It's not about having when the Cardinals had Miles Michaelis as their ace. This is
Yeah.
stupid. You're not going to win when the Cardinals have Sonny Gray as the ace.
Hmm.
I think he's really solid too. But if
Yeah.
you constantly have him go against a healthy Shohei Ohtani, a Garrett Cole, Derek Skubal in a playoff series, you should lose that game. You are outmatched.
Yeah. I mean, it's the truth. If you don't have, I mean, I honestly last year I didn't think the Dodgers were going to win the World Series in
Yeah,
the playoffs. I mean, with
because of that.
the injuries that they had with the pitching and all that, I honestly didn't think they could do it. They found a way to scrap through it and win it, but it would have been much easier if the rotation was healthy, if Glasnow was
Yeah,
healthy, and Yamamoto wasn't out for like 4 months, and he'd only pitched a couple times before he came back, and Kershaw didn't go down. It would have been a lot easier for the Dodgers, but now the Dodgers are sitting about 9 starting pitchers deep with guys coming back from injury, and then that's still without re-signing Clayton Kershaw.
yeah, which will happen. I mean, there's no. I
Yeah.
mean, if he
Oh
wants
yeah.
to play, there's no way it doesn't happen. They'll
Hmm.
find a spot. Okay, so we talked a little bit of just some of the narratives, and I think that could be a fun topic as we unveil some more MLB stuff. Is like let's talk
Hmm.
about these teams that do clearly have the best ones, like the ace,
Yeah.
because there are some emerging stars out there, even from last year. I mean, we'll just drop this out there. You got to look at Paul Skeens is a legitimate. I think if he's on the mound, you
Yeah.
think your team should win, and then it's just that's an ace. So anyway,
Yeah.
let's move on. Who are what is a contender maybe? Because obviously your Dodgers have gone out there and they have made the move, probably almost every single move that they should have made so far.
Yeah.
Okay, but what maybe is a contender that didn't do enough, or still needs to do more before the season's over? Because there's still some guys out there.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one I've been thinking about this for a few weeks now. This is a team that last year everyone thought, okay, they're so young. We saw what they did in the playoffs the year
I
before.
know you're gonna say,
The Baltimore Orioles.
yeah,
I mean, you're on the verge, and I know it's early because Jackson Holiday and all these guys are still young. But what you are doing right now is you're just wasting all that young talent. You don't re-sign Corbin Burns, and you haven't done anything really in pitching except for a couple, old guys that Charlie Morton. I mean, you really think that he's going to be the ace?
he's a good
Grayson
five.
Rodriguez, yeah, we haven't seen Grayson Rodriguez pitch a full season due to injuries and up and
Hmm.
down. When it comes to performance in the major leagues, you are setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up to do exactly what we talked about with the Blue Jays, where they had all this young talent, and we thought, okay, they're going to move in the right direction. The window's opening for the contendership, and then they don't do enough, and the window just shuts closed. Granted, these guys are younger, and they still got quite a bit of it, but you need to go out and make a move. Go out and trade for a Luis Castillo. Go out and trade for a legitimate starting pitcher, number one starting pitcher, or just a really good front of the line guy. Because you don't, you're just going to be in the same exact spot where you were in a few years. Because once these guys' contracts come up, you're not a team that seems to like to keep your young talent around. So yeah,
Tell me I'm wrong. If they don't, we're just looking at the Toronto Blue Jays in 6 years.
yeah, absolutely.
And you're like, why? What were we doing? And so,
Hmm.
what they have done is the same thing that Toronto did: is they identified really, really good young talent, early drafted,
Hmm.
developed well, but they haven't done the next thing. And I
Yep.
think if you look at baseball teams, there are teams that are incredibly good, like the top, let's say the top 10 in player development. Like we
Hmm.
can identify players, we can develop them. And then you have the top 10 who are great at player acquisition. They
Hmm.
realize in the trademark I'm going to do it. And then you have some people who are always in the middle. Those that are always in the middle typically are never the best team in
Hmm.
the league itself, the
Yeah.
NL or AL. But those who can manage to master one of those can become one of the absolute powerhouses in that team, at least for what that category is. I'm not going to say they're win World
Yeah.
Series. We could say the Rays, absolutely great at development. The
Yeah.
the Tigers have become a good team in the last 2 years of developing players. I mean, we saw what they did with Jack Flaherty. He got 3 miles an hour on the fastball, but they're doing
Yeah.
stuff like that now because they realize we have to do this. We have to be so good at this that we can identify other avenues to get people, whether it's through trades or even just getting guys off the scrap heap, like you said, and making
Hmm.
it better. I don't know that Baltimore has identified how to do that really well.
No, and like you were talking earlier, you have to have that ace, that guy that you can walk out on the mound, game one of the series, you can go, okay, I have a really good chance at winning this game because I have an incredible pitcher out here, and they just don't have that on their staff right now. I mean, if if I was them before the season even started last year, I would have been trying to re-sign Corbin Burns, giving him anything he wanted because Corbin Burns is one of the best starting pitchers in baseball, and he was great for him last year. You got to find someone because the starting pitching you have right now, I would probably say you're third best team in the division because I
That's
think I
yeah,
have the Red Sox ahead of you now. And now you're in that, limbo right there with, the Rays and the Blue Jays towards the bottom when
yeah,
last year everyone viewed them as the top team in that division to start
and
the
then yeah,
season.
underperformed too.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
you have so much young talent on that team and you're not willing to try to spend some of that money to try to get your team in a position to win a World Series before you have to pay all of those
all of them.
guys in the next couple of years.
Yeah. Well, is there a team in the NL that you see the same thing?
Let's see. I would say honestly, I'm going to say the Padres. I don't think they've done enough to try to get over that Dodgers hump. They still got their guys there, but I just don't see them getting better. They got. I don't know if they even got. I mean, they may have got a little bit worse. You lose a couple of your bullpen guys that you traded for, and then you lose. More than likely going to lose. Kim is your second base, shortstop, first base, guy. And now they're talking about maybe trading Luis Arias. They're just kind of in that weird funk where I thought maybe they would try to push a little bit more. I mean, go out, keep Blake Snell and keep some of these
That's
guys,
yeah,
and they just didn't.
yeah. And here's we may have, I don't know, in the past if we've been not fans of Blake's now.
Hmm.
But I think we all would have said back in 2020, you leave him in the game in the World
Hmm.
Series. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And last year he had a terrible. I'm going to blame partially on Scott Boras, partially on
Oh yeah.
Blake Snell, just not being prepared for the season, game speed. But his
Yeah.
second half was absolutely incredible, and
Yeah.
he's working on getting through games deeper. And the Dodgers just got them. Honestly, almost any team you put Blake Snell on it, he's the number one. Like he's a
Yeah.
good number one. He's not the number one of number ones, but he's a good number
Hmm.
one. And if he's your second pitcher, he is an outstanding number two
Yeah.
in any rotation. And you look, I mean, the Padres desperately need him. Obviously, the Giants could have redone
Yeah.
the Baltimore. I don't understand
Yeah.
how some of these teams didn't. I mean, you just got to try and outpay the Dodgers. I don't know if that's possible, but you just have to try.
Yeah. The Dodgers were smart. They got in the lefty market early because they needed a left-handed pitcher. They go out and get Blake Snell. Then you see Max Fried turn around and get the contract that he got, and you're looking at the the Snell deal, and you're like, dang,
Yeah,
Dodgers got him for cheaper and you know probably better than Max Fried over the last few years. He won a Cy Young award a couple of years ago. So I mean, I just what the Dodgers, like you said, they have. You think that the Padres would have pushed hard to get some of these guys to try to get over. I mean, we've seen it before them try to sign a lot of guys and it not work out, but they really didn't do. They haven't done anything. They just kind of stayed pat, and
yeah.
you weren't able to take out the Dodgers when you had a chance in the playoffs last year. What do you makes you think that you're going to be able to do it this year when the Dodgers are just getting better?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: there's two other teams. One's a former World Series champion that has had television issues, like with their contract
Mm-hmm.
because of all of the Bally Sports stuff. That they have had to reduce their payroll because of it since winning the World Series
Yeah.
and the Texas Rangers. Do you feel like that their window is still slightly open enough? especially with the Astros kind of coming down a little bit, or do you feel like this is a floundering team? I have another question for another team after this.
I will say I think the window's still open enough, just because they do have some younger talent on the team, and Corey Seager's still a great ball player. I think Adolis Garcias has a bounce back year this year, and you got Evan Carter, you got Evan Langford, you got Jonah Heim. You got some good young players still, and then you got a couple of really good young guys down in the minor leagues that could come up and really help you out in the next couple, maybe midway through the season. So I think the window's still slightly open, but I still have my concerns with the starting rotation.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And then the Seattle Mariners. I
Yeah.
think they've been rumors and a lot of stuff, but we haven't really felt any movement whatsoever from this team. And this is a team that finally broke the long streak of not going to the playoffs, made the playoffs, got out of it. Last year was limited on the last day. And you think that, hey, we're just on the cusp, but this is a GM that has said we just want to win essentially 89 games, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully we make it. And that is what this offseason looks like, right?
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
terrible.
you've got a bevy of pitchers, and I love Luis Castillo, so I'm not saying, oh, you got to trade him because he's not even good. Trade Luis Castillo for a bat. You need some
Solid
offense.
bat, yeah.
Yeah, you need some offense other than Julio Rodriguez and Cal Raleigh. I mean, you have no offense. I think one guy, and no, it's not going to be like the biggest, oh wow guy, but I think a guy that would fit good with something that they don't have right now is Luis Arias. Just a guy that can get on base. You put him on and put him in top of the lineup and let him get on in front of Julio. You're gonna get some more runs, because now you got actual guys on base for him to knock in when he hits a home run, or Cal Raleigh hits a home run or something, instead of just going, oh well, it's a solo home run, so there's only one run, and you're counting so much on this power numbers. You just don't have anyone that can just consistently get on base.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. And Luis Ariz is very underrated for what he does. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he just gets on base, which
Yeah.
Billy Bean, the RIP,
Mm-hmm.
was always about get on base, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
Um, if you look at this offseason, it's winding down. There's still gonna be some more free agent signings. We'll keep everyone updated on that. But before we get to pitchers and catchers, um, before we get to what is it? Spring training starts. I'm
Swing
so
trade.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Can you give me a pitcher and a hitter that you think are going to break out before we have any momentum
Ooh.
swings at all?
Pitcher and a hitter that are gonna break out. Ooh, that's
Yeah.
gotta. Trying to think here. I'm gonna go with, for a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's tough. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
really thought about this. Trying to think of someone off the top of my head. I'm gonna go with Brandon Pfaadt from the Arizona Diamondbacks. I
Okay.
love the stuff
Brown to
that the
back.
guy
Yeah.
has. Yes, we saw how good he was in the postseason the year they made the run to the World Series. And last year we just didn't see the same thing. And I don't know if it was so much, the extra pitching that he wasn't used to, and then the World Series hangover. But I think we're going to see a guy bounce back, and we're going to see a very formidable pitching staff for the Diamondbacks, going and getting Corbin Burns and having Zach Gallen and Merrill, and now you throw in
Mm-hmm.
that can come in and just be really good, and he pitches like he did in that postseason. That's a four-horse stable
It's
that
a good team
teams
and
are
great
not
offense.
gonna want to face in that
Yeah.
pitching.
Okay.
So
So if you need a second, I'll give you mine real quick.
all right, go for it.
So my pitcher is Kumar Rocker. I think
Oh, I
everyone's
love that.
forgot about him because he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
All the draft day stuff. He got just a cup of coffee last year
Mm-hmm.
in this regular season. He's got to keep that walk rate down.
Yeah.
Young pitchers got to do that. But this dude dominated at multiple levels last year with strikeouts. He's a big guy. I think he could be that guy for not a number one or anything like that
Mm-hmm.
yet, but he could be one of those pieces that Texas Rangers are looking at and saying, this is one of those picks that, whew, we got it. Like, let's keep developing and keep him healthy. That's a big piece.
Yeah, I like that pick. I'm big. I was a big fan of Kumar Rocker back when he was in Vanderbilt, and then
Mm-hmm.
the Mets fumbled and let him go.
Yep.
Mets move.
6'5", 245, and wears number 80. All good signs
Yeah.
for a pitcher.
Yeah. I mean, the dude can just rock and throw. If he can get that, you know, pinpoint those pitches a little bit better,
Mm-hmm.
that guy's going to be a special pitcher.
Yeah.
But
All
all
right.
right, if we're talking hitters, I'm going to go with a guy that probably won't get a lot of publicity because his team's going to be absolutely awful. But this is a guy I've been following for a while in the minor league system, and I think that he has immense potential. And I imagine he's going to win the starting shortstop position. And it's Colson Montgomery for the Chicago White Sox. I think this is a guy that is going to have a good chance at winning the Rookie of the Year in the
They need
AL
him
this
to.
year. Yeah,
They need him to, obviously for development, but obviously for the extra draft picks. Because if they're going to be as bad as it
yeah,
looks, they need him to.
yeah,
They need to get those picks as much as possible. I'm going to go with a homer pick. Everyone's going to say it. Give me Jordan Walker, dude. He has too much potential to
yeah.
not do it. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
now. I think this year it's like, hey, dude, there's no pressure. Go play baseball. Go hit the
Yeah,
ball hard. Get the ball in the
yeah.
air. I think he's done a lot of stuff in this offseason, like every other player probably has or should have.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think that there's something there. They moved on from their hitting coach and all this stuff last year. So give me Jordan Walker, man.
Yeah. Like you said, just let him play. Let him
Let him
play
play
through
ball.
the ups and downs.
Yeah, yeah. If as soon as the Cardinals send him down and after he he's hitting 211 with 17% ground ball rate or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
well then that looks stupid again. But
Yeah,
listen, he's doing all this, and he's the same. He's almost the same size as Aaron Judge. I'm not saying he's Aaron Judge,
yeah,
but literally, he has the profile of an Aaron Judge. And Aaron Judge did all of this in the
yeah,
minors, where the Cardinals brought him up and sent him down, and brought him up and sent him down. So we did him no
yeah.
favors.
Another one I think is an interesting watch on another terrible team is going to be Kobe Mayo for the
Oh, yeah,
Marlins. He was a big part of the trade last year for Trevor Rogers, which don't know why he gave up Kobe Mayo for Trevor Rogers, but still, I think this is a guy that's going to get to play a lot because they awful and
yep, yep. They don't want to.
and
They don't want to
so
be good.
no, they definitely don't want to be good. So I think he's going to get a lot of go, second or short or third, wherever they want to play him.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's the kickoff to baseball season. I hope you guys are excited about it. We cannot wait. We love baseball season. We hope you do too. But make sure
Yeah.
that you are subscribed to the show. We got more episodes coming later this weekend as we recap all of the NFL playoff series, and then we're also going to be breaking down all of the keys, the winning notes, or whatever you want to talk about when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to Ohio State versus Notre Dame. I mean, literally, NCAA could not have drawn that up better. Come on,
Now,
two blue buds. All right. That's the show, guys. Till then, see y'all next time.
see ya.
See you.